Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Worlds and Crafts, a stream devoted to opening the curtain of creation on setting building, where we talk about high-level lore, mechanics, metaplots, minutiae, all kinds of fun stuff. We have been working on a fantasy world over the past, I'm not even sure how many weeks, but in my countings, it's been about 12, and I know it's been more than that, so it's been a while. It's been a long while. We're looking at probably about 6 months now. Um, if I'm doing that right, yeah. So tonight we're going to be working on the city on the bluffs, which is a city, well, on a cliff. Who would have thought? But my name is Bran. I'm your host, Kathakaros on Twitter and here. And yeah, for those who are just joining us tonight for the first time, Worlds and Crafts is a collaborative endeavor. It is a creative exercise for those of us who maybe have a lot of experience with world building and an encouragement for those who don't. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that world building and like putting your thoughts to paper, making something a little more structured, is always a good endeavor to have. But let's just take a moment to breathe and say hello. How are you all doing tonight? I've got my tea and I got my water. I was going to grab some wine, but then I thought against it. Oh, hey, look, it's Carrying Comfort Studios. How you doing, Brother Wes? And Gigi, I'm guessing that's Ian. Hey there, hey there. You know, I'm sure there's a really good way to look at like users who are actually watching, but I don't think I can do it from the pop-out chat, and I don't have Twitch open. Maybe we need to maybe we need to add an overlay element for that. Nice if I could just like, see people and say hi and greet them as they come in. Because I'm extra. Oh man, so today, I I I I was suddenly struck with how quickly 2020 has gone by, and I don't like it. I mean, I do like it because pandemic, but I don't like it at the same time. But also I like it because the weather's getting cooler and autumn is coming, and every bone in my body is vibrating like a pile of leaves, and I can fucking hear "This Is Halloween" playing in my head. And of course, with all of that, that means school has started. Damn. Well, that's good. That's like really good. I'm proud of your company for doing that. Curing Comfort Studios, not going back into the office until 2021. Good. I mean, also terrible, but good. It's really just kind of a mixed bag every time, isn't it? It's the puppy lover. Hey there, Kay. How you doing? Fair enough. Feeling feels. That's a mood. Hmm. When aren't you thinking about RPGs? Oh, I know. When you're thinking about like your mastercraft meals. And I'm doing well. I spent a very long time today just cleaning the house, vacuuming and doing all that stuff. So that was necessary, and I hated every second of it. But at the same time, I just had Evangelion turned on in the background, and I really don't understand all the no. I mean, well, pause. How much are you paying me? I don't understand all the hate leveled at the new dub of Evangelion at all. So much more clean, so much better. But, eh. I'll get back to you on that. Uh, Danny and I were literally thinking of as a summer job doing house cleaning. So You know, maybe I haven't gotten far enough for the gay to be relevant, so it's been a long time since I've watched Evangelion, but I do remember how shitty the quality of the dub was, and it was terrible. So in so many ways, and it was the only thing that was available because this was before you could, have just dub and sub in the same thing. That does sound enticing. A little sushi as a treat. All right. Let's see. Hey there, Ivelon. How you doing today? Adapt or die. That's right there, Karen Comfort Studios. We are social Darwinists here. Nah. So, guys, I think I'm Twitter famous now. I have over 100 likes on a single tweet, and it's the most I've ever gotten on a single tweet ever. Yay. Well, the Zoof just arrived. That was tongue in cheek. That doesn't make me Twitter famous. No, not maps today. But that is Viral Bean. Oof, I need to change my name on GG now. Viral Bean, the Twitter queen. So let's get into this. We're not doing maps today. I just clipped out a part of the map that's relevant to what we're going to be working on today, which is the city on the bluffs. It's one of 3 cities that we had previously determined existed in this region, and I did some base concept stuff. I don't know why that's still there. Did some base concept stuff so that we have a place to start, but otherwise I haven't really done much with it. So the city on the bluffs, the only thing that was established about it was that it was old. Like, it's one of the oldest still standing cities that was established in its current format, even if maybe it's gone through some internal changes. It's not like the Savannah city where, collapse and rebuild, collapse and rebuild, collapse and rebuild. This has been the same physical location. So, the city on the bluffs. High on cliffs overlooking the ocean to the south, this city is one of the oldest that has stood since its founding. Tunnels where secrets and dangers abound honeycomb the bedrock all down the cliff face, some natural and others crafted. Strange wailing rises up from these tunnels on occasion. These songs and croons are often dismissed as the wind, but some claim that the spirits of sailors dashed on the rocks or lost in the tunnels are eternally bound there in torment. That's all I had for that intro, but we didn't really have too much for this. I liked that inclusion of the wailing cliffs, though. I thought that was a great element. And then I thought, we need to add something that's different here, a hang-up. So, in the concept, the city on the bluffs is one of the safest places in the land from physical threats, with high walls and hardy people. Yet, this seemingly beneficent feature poses additional problems in the age of Striders. The city is incapable of hosting or docking the massive constructs close enough to experience their full benefit. As a result, the city relies on nearby villages to dock and service Striders and their crews. The city keeps massive storehouses of essentials on hand to service its citizens, but the inability to acquire fresh water or food inside the city limits has created something of a limit on its growth. Still, the lives of the citizens here are said to be rich and fulfilling. Who knows what the truth is, though? So that's our starting point. This city where there is the potential for secrets, but it's not the strange eldritch secrets that we established in the city on the savannah. Other kinds of secrets, maybe more mundane, maybe not. What flavor do you think it should be? Find something. Well, Evelon, this is a completely this is a collaborative building thing. So, if something comes to mind, say it. We can talk about it. Thieves Guild type arrangement. I could see that. Maybe these tunnels are used for smuggling. Mayhaps, mayhaps. Okay, there it is. Forgot to re-add the setting-wide themes and tailings. So let's before we get too far into that, the setting as a whole, the themes are: life that is unaffected by civilization contains magic that becomes lost through the effects of that civilization. It is an untamable force that dies when it is tamed. The inventive spark of humankind contains a different kind of magic that becomes lost through struggle and pain. It is a force of creation and endeavor that dies when it is snuffed out. Massive magical constructs stride the land between cities, carrying people and cargo. None are exactly alike, if similar, for they are living creatures created through suffusing physical matter with spiritual matter. Adventure is a call that everyone feels, for out in the world there are lost memories, miracles, and wisdom to be found. You can always rekindle your magic. You can always heal the wounds. There are zones in the world where all magic becomes lost and are filled with something else. It is seemingly unnatural and contrarian. Gravity, temperature, pressure, life, all are reversed in philosophically significant ways. So, we'll apply that lens to any additional stuff we tack on. But local theme and content. Bullet point, where are you? Alright, so Puppy Lover suggested that there might be a secret thief society of some sort, and then Nivelon said, it looks like the city needs to be trading to survive. There are also massive storehouses around. Makes people believe that the merchant caste are the most important for this city. So people who are well versed at establishing trade routes and information and resource acquisition. Okay. Okay, so there are many secrets here, and there are those who would take advantage of that. A thieves guild, for example. Merchants and traders play an integral role in the infrastructure of the city. Well, in supporting the infrastructure of the city. As the city's inability to acquire resources inside its own walls means that trade utmost importance. I do want to add that the city can still acquire resources, but they are all outside of the walls. Not necessarily outside of reach. They can still go out of their walls and acquire lumber and fresh water and such. But if, the city were to, say, fall under siege, or there was some other reason why they had to close up the city walls, they're just relying on their storehouses, period, end of story. They don't have the ability to really even have much there, not even gardens. Or at least that was the intention. All of this is subject to change, because rule number one of creating anything, you can change anything at any time. You tend to not want to change your core concepts too much, but you can still do it. And so is it an oligarch-run city-state, Carrying Comfort Studios asks? That's a good question. Thus far, we have... What are our other cities? And we have one that's kind of a direct democracy, slash, kind of communist. Yeah, there was the gator. I can see plutocracy playing a role here. But you're free to convince me, obviously. But personally, I would prefer to avoid the Italian peninsula city-states type shtick. You know, um, it's been used a lot, and it's very well, it's a little too close to home. It's a little too close to home. That said, the concept isn't terrible. It's just I would want to amend it, change it, figure out ways that it is more equitable. Because the game, the setting, the whole thing is supposed to be about being able to recover, discover your magic, rediscover your magic. So maybe there's magic that's been lost. And we definitely have established that in some areas already. Well, it is. Yeah, plutocracy is just a form of oligarchy. But there are forms of oligarchy that function fine for some peoples, so long as the group is small enough. Once your population reaches a certain amount, the oligarchy can no longer attend to the needs of the people, and sometimes, straight from the get-go, it can't attend to the needs of the people. I'm not saying I approve of oligarchy, by the way. Disclaimer. I'm a libertarian socialist, so, there's that. Yeah, instead of a plutocracy, it could be a trade or an artisan state. More similar to how Denmark was at one point, where the city's governance is divided up into departments. But ultimately, it's not really governance. It's that each type of labor, each type of individual, kind of has a union, a guild, has their own thing going on, and their representatives meet up as a part of this big bureaucratic council. So you could then add elements of a plutocracy to that. There's the trading of favors and things like that among maybe maybe there's a small council who is ultimately responsible for breaking ties and things like that. Maybe it's a council of 3 or something, or maybe 5. I don't know. But yeah, I was thinking like trade guilds, but it doesn't necessarily have to be trade guilds, but guilds nonetheless. Yeah, like labor unions, dock workers unions, things like that. The rigid requirements of the city's infrastructure has given way to a labor state in which representatives from each sector of work, art, or work, craft, or lifestyle, I guess, bring the demands of their to the greater whole, or to the guild council. Ominous music. What did you guys think about the small council concept? Unless there is something more akin to like a prime minister, who basically, I mean, we're basically just creating Stalinism, but rip. If it's that, someone who could feasibly, do things like break ties and pass orders under emergency scenarios and things like that. Or it could be, like I said, a smaller council. Maybe it's the maybe it's the trades and groups deemed most valuable to the city that sit on this like council that doesn't do much, and they vote in normal matters, but then in the case of like a massive tie, it goes to another vote. We're creating Stalinism. Hello there, your big dad. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not really into Stalinism personally, but the concept of the Soviet Union was cool, right? So the rigid requirements of the city's infrastructure has given way to a labor state, in which representatives from each sector of work, they bring the demands of their constituents to the guild council. It is comprised of, I'm probably gonna say, depending on the population of the state, which is large, which is large enough that it can become entangled in, can't spell bureaucracy, bureaucratic, hooray, tangled in bureaucratic red tape. Further, then, there is an additional governing body, small council, that is separate from, call it the guild body. It is separate from the guild body and handles expedition matters. Cool. Anyone have anything else to add to that? Do they have maybe a do you have sorry, anything else to add to that? Maybe they have a Taco Tuesday or Mariachi Monday. I'm imagining now that the guild body has a maybe it uses like the old keep. Maybe this was once like a monarchy, and long since isn't, or not a monarchy. Something a little bit more autocratic or a little bit more intensely oligarchic, and I'm imagining that they use that as their like meeting hall. Built directly with the wall themselves. Right. So we have a labor state who ultimately see to the needs of their workers, right? But what is their faith like? What kind of religion do they have here? I mean, across the world we have gods, which are thus far completely unestablished on the high lore concept. And I think that's something that's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to when we can really start digging into that. Maybe we can do that next week. Because the gods are bound to objects around the world. And you can go and find them, or try, to try and gain wisdom, or a wish, or something. But there are, of course, also the dragons of abstract ideas, which is fun. Entropy, grief, consciousness, creation. There are zones where things are very much dead. And then, of course, there is the very large alligator that wanders the land, a sleepwalking titan of the earliest foundations of the world. What do these people believe in? Do they worship coin? Or maybe they believe there's magic and craftsmanship, which there is. Okay, so city like this. I think that religious beliefs, city, and I shouldn't say religious beliefs, spiritual practices. Spiritual practices of the people in the city tend to range toward prayers and offerings, dragon of creation, and otherwise a lot of folkloric blessings, talismans, praxis that results in a lot of unusual idiosyncrasies. I'm now thinking of something along the lines of like the Irish, tossing salt over your shoulder, putting a penny in your left shoe, leaving a saucer of milk out with some bread in it, things like that. Maybe nothing quite like that, but I was thinking it'd be fun if this city is out of the places here, the one where they have the most like superstition. So they partake in a lot of blessings, talismans, things like that. So maybe then ancestor worship is uncommon but not unheard of, as especially among the dock workers and sailors who frequent the tunnels and cliffs. My great-grandfather was a sailor here, fisherman, simple folk, but one day he got lost in the tunnels. Sometimes I think I can hear his voice. I leave him offerings for luck. Things like that. Alright, so. Oh, the tobacco of his pipe and the tobacco. Yeah, I like that. And the salt spray. Random question. What are these cliffs made of? What is their composition? Is it natural? Or is it something else? I wonder if they could be made of like ferrous basalt. I don't know how likely that is. I know that basalt can form. Well, actually, yeah, it is likely. I accidentally just made a reference to Ireland and Scotland as well, because slow cooling basalt, columnar basalt, the Giant's Causeway. There's actually columnar basalt in Massachusetts as well. A lot of folks don't know about that, but Western Mass, there's a whole slew of it up on Mount Tom, Hampton, and Holyoke. It's ferrous as well, so it's slightly magnetic. Very slightly. I think that'd be cool if it's basalt cliffs. I mean, basalt has this rather nice kind of contiguous tone to it, because it is a, if I recall correctly, a deep formation igneous rock. So it's, very fine grains, nothing chunky and large like granite. But of course, because of the way geology works, it could still have veins of granite or quartz or any number of things. But it could also add a fun element, because columnar basalt it's really just stunningly beautiful. Allow me to drop an image. Those who have never seen. Forms hexagons? Yeah, it does seem unnatural. It seems, like it shouldn't be a real thing. Like, there's no way that that's natural, but here it is. All of these hexagonal columns protruding from the earth. They can also form an overhang, so you can have these overhangs of long hexagons. Often dark, but basalt can also be lighter tones. Oh, that's a really good one. Apparently this one's from Iceland. Yeah, I think that would be a fun element to add. Columnar basalt. Much of the cliffs, if eroded to the point where it cannot be distinguished in some areas. The areas where it is most stark. I like it. The areas where it is most stark are often used as altars for small offerings. Dot the cliffs and which dot the bluffs and the seaside. A spackling peculiarity color. Hear Mona shouting from the porch. I'm liking the direction this is going a lot. I can already get these strong mental images in my head of this beautiful, like gradient cliffside, like an ombre, from dark green, all the way at the base, down, up, going into something lighter. All of it being like a little bit on the red side, ferrous, seemingly magnetic, which would also add to its mystique. And then up at the top of these massive cliffs, you have these. Oh man, what if some of the towers are built directly on some of the largest columns? Not some of the most intact columns, like they're included in it. Protrusions. Something else that's really cool about columnar basalt is that even though it forms from slow cooling, sometimes if it is heated just right, it can flex and form curves. So it can add this graceful lines. Oh, there we go. These graceful lines to your to it, and you get things like this. And this definitely looks like this is ferromagnetic, because you have that rusty red color from iron. all in there, and these browns. Sorry, something that I haven't really gone into. I love geology. I like a lot of sciences. I think they're really great, and I don't necessarily. I'm not a geologist by any means, and I couldn't tell you all the way things are formed, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, native hollowed out column. That would be cool. That's a good idea. Basalt, the only problem with it is that it is on the more brittle side. It isn't it's much easier to break than granite, but it is much harder. So it will break before it chips, or before it dents. It can erode quickly, yeah. But I mean, if your entire cliff face is made up of it, wow. Besides, this is a magical world. Leave it alone. We need cool things, damn it. All I can think of is that video where this guy, I can't think of his name right now. He takes popular scenes from like superhero films, and then he'll apply like real physics to it with some base CG. It was pretty gross actually, because of a scene with Iron Man, where he fell from the sky and like, you know, did like the hero landing thing, fist on the ground with that loud like metallic thunk, and he just CG'd a bunch of like blood just pouring out of the bottom of it. I'm like, oh no. But you know, it is a good reminder that a lot of our storytelling is completely fictitious. You know, we can break the laws of reality in a big way, and it doesn't seem that big. Yeah, I was thinking that would be fun if you know, if maybe that was the case. It is entirely plausible that, you know, maybe some of this columnar basalt does in fact form the walls, like you said, or at least portions of them. And who knows? Maybe that was because of some like geomancer or something. Somebody who was able to manipulate the stone and cause it to raise up. But I think, yeah, I think that we don't necessarily need to explain it. Walls are partly composed of columns of seemingly natural stone. I have been following far too many leftists on Twitter because now I don't have anything tabletoppers. I keep liking tabletop stuff to try and get my feed back to its original state, because I took part in that no comrade under 1K thing. So many politics. Which, don't get me wrong, I like, but it's not the only thing I do. Okay, so take a look at this. I wish I could just draw right here on the screen, really. Need a tablet so I can just doodle, just scratch over things, do concept art while we talk. I'm not tremendously good at it, but I can thumbnail, and that's all I really need to do. So something else is, you know, that the Striders tend to deposit their goods in this lovely little village down here, do their trade there. So I'm thinking that maybe it's just a village called Tradesway. A nearby village on the plains, Tradesway has benefited tremendously from the advent of riders, but was once a stopover on the trade route, is now stop. And caravans take goods up lifts to the city. The Tradesway. God, I really. Every time I look at the map, I'm like, I want to work on it more. And then my chores eat up my entire life, and I go, oh, where did the week go? All right. What else should we be considering here? What is there? Excuse me. Is the local food stuffs like? It was a fun one. I need to close Twitter. Goodbye, Twitter. Goodbye, Twitter. I knew thee poorly. Songs. No me gusta. It is gone. Twitter no longer exists. Oh, I just saw the podcast and streams thing. Rip. Rip at Ian. Alright, so if the local environment is, well, we already established that it's warm temperate. So these are, for those who don't know, I live in New Hampshire. And something you also get in Massachusetts is in August, you get the intense smell of pine. Because the pine needles that are on the ground already also contain this lovely smell. And of course, pines being evergreens, they just constantly shed their needles. So in the hot and humid August, the Northeast, you get all these firs and all these firs and pines, and it's just in the air. You can't avoid it. It's just this intense smell of pine. But it's really amazing because it's also mixed in with like the smell of grasses, and because it's autumn, you also have things like Concord grapes and not autumn, sorry, August. You also have things like Concord grapes and different kinds of berries, and so August is a very rich smelling time of year, which is always the most unfortunate thing about school starting then, because you're taking the time when all the neat stuff is kind of coming out in the Northeast and kids go back to school. And you're like, well, bye, I guess. But, yeah, so I'm wondering maybe then if this area experiences a lot of that, because this is warm temperate, so there's probably a longer period. And we did establish that because the weather patterns come from the southwest, which, for those who missed it, yeah, for those who missed it, last week we kind of established the weather patterns a little bit, and although the weather patterns come from the southwest, so this area would be plenty humid. It might not be too humid, but well, got some rivers nearby that are established via runoffs, so it's got to have a pretty intense wet season right here. So, you know, if that's the case, things like berries would absolutely thrive there. Lots of berries. What else are some water-loving water and acid-loving plants? Ferns. Maybe not foodstuffs. Sorry. Let's skip foodstuffs. What is local ecology? Lots of berries, ferns, pines, birches. God, I love birch tree. Beech tree. Basically building New Hampshire right. Elms. Let's just go ahead and do that. Azaleas, mountain heather, rhododendrons, hydrangeas, camellias, daffodils, blueberries, and nasturtiums. Yeah, so I actually did not know for a while until recently that blueberries are in fact native to North America. It was like, oh, congratulations, we didn't import everything. Ferns, pines. So it's called ericaceous or ericaceous. Yes, rhododendron ranges. You just described New Hampshire basically as well. I mean, Google's fine, just like Wikipedia's fine. Just check your damn sources. The thing that I hate how much hate that Google and Wikipedia get. Like, yes, you shouldn't just trust a Google search like on its own. You should click the link. You should check the link's sources. They're aggregators. Yeah, I'm being silly, Broken Golem. I'm not. That rage wasn't aimed at you, even though it seemed like it was. You just triggered it. Sorry. That was nothing personal. So what kind of ooh, okay. Are there any special creatures, spirits that can be found in something that just occurred to me because looking outside, kind of have I kind of have, of what this area might be like. There is always there's always some Scandinavian myths like Holder or Holdra. Yeah, Holdra actually kind of creeped me out, I'm not gonna lie. The whole, it's a person, except their body is hollow, and there's a hole in their back. It's all wood inside. Very horrifying to me. My dearest friend once said to me, mentioned something about a Holdra friend, and just to talk about fiction, and I said, I don't know, they kind of creep me out, the whole hole in the back thing, and he just goes, place to store snacks, and I was just like, uh, uh, can't do it. Okay, so we are approaching 7 o'clock here pretty quickly. I'm thinking let's take a quick break. But before we go on break, for those who are just those who have joined us for new today, Gehenna Gaming is a consent-driven uh, horror gaming company. We facilitate games for all kinds of things. It started off as horror, but we've branched out significantly. Feel free to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and here on Twitch. Also, you can join our Discord quite easily, and it is a welcome thing. We are very friendly. We are very welcoming to folks. So come on and check us out. And you know, even though we've been talking already, this is in fact a adult channel, so to speak. Consider all content here to be rated R and up. If that's a problem for you, don't watch. But we are going to take a quick break. So get some water, stretch your legs, grab a snack, and we will be back momentarily. And as always, because it seems to have fallen silent in a lot of circles, Black Lives Matter. Okay, and we are back. Speaking of grapes, um, he's found some wild ones alongside the road, which is pretty. Come on, making the grape disappear. No. There we go. Yeah, so they're pretty common around here, but don't smell as strong as I'm. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry about that. I had to attend love of my life. He was in class and just got out. Yes, Conquered Grapes. I busted one open here. Very tart, but they're pretty tasty. Hmm. Started dealing with seeds. No, I've never had. Great. I've never had them in pie. Yeah, I don't know if I don't actually know if the Conquered Grapes are. You know, if they are not native, they have naturalized really well. Yeah, Conquered Grapes are quite acidic, very tart, but they also have, if I recall correctly, a lot of really occurring. I'm not sure if it's like in their skins. So it's quite easy. A lot of grape, sort of ferment. But they are tart. Okay, enough about that. Oh, sorry if today's been going a little slow, guys. Thank you for patience and interest. I've feels weird having kind of not really skipped a week, but we did. Adjusting to the new schedule and hard ability. Mostly doing bland normal things like a lot of cleaning, a lot of organizing, a lot of all that kind of regular house stuff. And it's been eating up so much of my time that I feel as though I haven't been able to create very much. But I am going to be writing a short story submit to an anthology. We'll see. If maybe I can bring that inventive spark back. Thinking maybe you should look up some more images. Cities on Cliff. Because really could use. That's pretty modern. That's all right. What else we? That's neat. Stock photo. I'm just taking photos from just to. Bluff says too many meanings. Did not get me. What's an architectural nightmare? The stock photo here, or the second one, broken gold. And that's fair, Evelyn. Who are you playing as in Street Fighter? Yeah, fair. Hello there, Bobicus. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? Have you tuned in with us before? Not particularly, no. Um, I mean, by volume, my largest amount of experience is with Dungeons and Dragons, but I've been trying to branch out from that. Um, well then, it's your first time. Welcome. Happy to have you here. So, yeah, we are Worlds and Crafts is a collaborative stream. So, at the end of the day, everything we make here is with input from viewers. We've been working on a whole world, in fact. Well, not a whole world, a setting. It's a region at the moment, building out cities. Granted, we only spend so many hours on it per week, so it's been slow going. But we are using Incarnate for that purpose, as you saw in chat. And otherwise, just kind of keeping all of this information and documents. Right now, we're working on this little city here. It's on the bluffs. This is a unfinished work in progress portion of the map, but necessary for geographics. And we've been working on basically just the details of the city itself. We decided that the cliffs upon which it sits are columnar basalt, but because it's a fantasy setting, they don't erode as quickly as they do in real life. And these are just some cities on cliffs, just for some mental inspiration. But yeah, if you're interested in, I don't want to overwhelm you, but if you're interested in knowing more, I can leave this up right here, or if you want, I can certainly read it. I don't mind catching people up on what's been going on, but I also don't want to bore you, so right now we've got this concept, some setting-wide themes and feelings that we use across the whole thing, but we've done quite a bit. I actually don't have that up yet. I've been basically just record keeping in each one, but that's a really good point. I really need to make that happen, so I think I'm going to do that tonight. Maybe I'll actually do that on the side. Wow. I was thinking initially of creating a Google site for that purpose, but I'm not so sure how well that would work. Probably can convene with my bosses about this and my fellow folks. A GeoCities page. Yeah, man, we're gonna have sparkling text, and it's gonna be impossible to read unless you turn your brightness up all the way. Gotta have that dark red font on the black background. No, man, we're spinning up. We're spinning up a We're gonna go ahead and spin up a reference page for our Star Wars role play. Let's see. Yeah, get them rotating skull gifts. Sorry, I was sending a message to my fellow peoples. And that's a great idea, Babacus, building into cliffs, yeah. And one thing we did establish, was that there are tunnels in these cliffs. Whether created by people who are still alive today or not, we're not entirely certain. We haven't really established that. And looks like we're gonna do some. We're gonna look into a public document of some sort for this in the coming week. So I'll have to keep you guys posted on that. All right, now everyone, please tell Ravnos to go to bed. So we did establish also the climate of the region. Secret tunnel, secret tunnel, secret tunnel, secret tunnel, secret tunnel. It is a warm temperate region, so warmer than New Hampshire and Massachusetts, probably closer to maybe like North Carolina or something like that, but hopefully without the crumbling government. Racism. Then again, who am I to talk? I live in New Hampshire. Racism abounds here. Let's not talk about that. And that's fair, Bobicus. I reliably check out from things on a regular basis. They overwhelm me. But yeah, and this is an area that receives ample rain, but it is kind of isolated. That is to say, the land around it doesn't really provide much room or ability for one of the largest setting elements that really impacts our logistics, which are striders. Striders being constructs that are created through the suffusion of physical and spiritual matter. It's more similar to, imagine if there was a spirit that you had to make a deal with, almost like a devil or a fae or something. But it's like Howl's Moving Castle. So like it creates this walking thing, and you have to continuously deal with it and appease it. So there's no way to mass produce them, because the individual has to be able to work with it and appease it and appeal to it. So each strider has its own personality and needs, and yeah, we didn't really get too far into that yet. That's the high level lore for it, but that has really amped up trade in this world, because the overland travel over any distance is quite dangerous due to things we haven't really covered yet. But we established that it's dangerous, and we haven't really answered why, so there's always that. But this city, as a result of all that, kind of has fallen behind a little bit, because they are kind of a fortress, a citadel, where they don't have the ability to accommodate striders within their walls. And so they rely on a nearby village to provide them strider support. Well, perfect. I'm glad my intuition paid off then. And we did decide that that some of the columnar basalt is built directly into the walls. It grows up directly, so that's fun. Otherwise, it is kind of, well, the government here is trade guilds. That is to say that there are representatives from each guild that meet up in a big old council and a big old like Congress, and talk about city issues and make votes and such. And then there's a small council that are elected separately, and they do legal expedition. During times of trouble. Otherwise, I was just kind of asking, like, what is the food like here? What is the local ecology like? What are the people like? We have established that there's some ancestor worship. Spiritual practices the people in the city tend to range toward prayers and offerings to my favorite part of the setting so far, the Dragon of Creation. There are dragons in this setting, but they are not your typical dragons. They are abstract concepts made manifest, outsiders in the truest fashion. But I was also thinking it would be fun if the people of the city use a lot of folkloric blessings, talismans, the offerings, things like that. So that's the direction we went, and yeah. So just trying to kind of think of the natural life around it now. Now that we kind of have this high level but much more zoomed in view of the city itself, kind of want to know what the lives of the people around it are like. Um, And a brief reminder for everyone that all concepts are ultimately changeable, mutable, because, well, sometimes concept that we created early on doesn't work later on, or we decide that it goes against the theme, or whatever. Criticism is welcome as a result. So if you don't like something about the setting, say so. Criticism and critique are something that needs to be said. Though do us a favor and keep it short, conversational, because we can always talk it through. No paragraphs, or sorry, no novels, please. I struggle with that myself. I type novels quite frequently. I like that that it's just out of left field maps. But yeah, so nice, Babacus. I see what you did there. I don't know who else is listening or watching, so I was trying to make people aware of the ideals and the tendencies here. But I just love bouncing ideas off of my favorite thing. It's just so much fun. All right, let's go back to religion. Religion and spirituality. I'm gonna go over here. Spiritual practices of the people of the city tend to range toward prayers and offerings to the dragon of creation. Lot of folkloric blessings, talismans, and practice get tossed around. Good luck. For a variety of reasons. Position, action, blessing. Ancestor worship is uncommon, but not unheard of, especially among the dock workers and sailors who frequent the cliffs. Belief that the souls of fisher folk, well, sorry, of seafarers don't or excuse me, need guidance, maybe. That seafarers don't return home. Guidance, maybe lighting of lanterns. Decorated, charmed, maybe. The souls of those who die in the tunnel or on the rock or on the cliffs, trapped. Leave sorry, leave offering hearted. Guarantee safe passage through tunnels. I have a question for everyone. How true is that? True? Do you think it should be true in some scenarios? Or is it ultimately strongly held belief? I am fond of the idea that seemingly folkloric practices do in fact ward off the things. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. That said, it could also still just be a fun little reality check, so to speak, that the howling in the caves is ultimately just the wind. There are no ghosts we're aware of. Because, of course, some folks might say, oh, you left the wrong offering if something bad happened to you in the caves. Fair enough. Well, let's talk about that then. What are you thinking about the farming situation? There's a village nearby called Tradesway. It's down here, on, by the mouth of this river. So I imagine they could have some farming down and around. But there's also this lovely highland area that only stone's throw away. Maybe there's a nice bridge crosses over here. There's also all the land to the northeast. That makes sense. And what Babakis said is, in the original pueblos, they were farmers, so they built complex cities. What do the people of the pueblo offer that makes them culturally powerful? Powerful enough to have a village. Ah, there. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I was thinking that they just offer protection. Yeah. The city itself was previously quite a bit more independent. And basically that's really it, is it's kind of the seat of governance. But they don't really own the villages around them per se, but they are afforded protection. And I don't think we really include nobility. That said, there could be a powerful group of people who kind of replicate that. Maybe there is just wealthy guild traders. Maybe not just traders. Sorry, wealthy guild members who constitute what effectively becomes a noble class. Famous tradesfolk and the like. Yeah, I was thinking it would be something along that lines. Yeah, that all the store. There's a lot of storehouses in the city on the bluffs, and some of them could even be down inside the tunnels underground. Um, so I was thinking that that's really a big part of it, is that they can protect resources in here and protect people. Just that they need to actually come up with this nice little trek, which begs a good question: how far is the village on foot from the city? How long does it take to get there? A segue, albeit, but a question worth answering and asking. From the big city. basing things on history is a really excellent way of doing it as well. It adds an air of credibility and plausibility to suspend your own sense of disbelief and for others. So it's an excellent idea. I would be looking up more things myself, but unfortunately, managing a stream and doing some casual investigative research stuff is a little. I was thinking that that Trade's Way should be one day's travel on foot. Right. That's what I was thinking. Okay, so I'm thinking that it's probably something close to 20 miles. Or about maybe 35 kilometers. Keep it simple. Because if folks are used to walking, then that's a reasonable pace for them. That includes breaks, one day travel. Not an arduous thing. You can certainly do up to 40 or 50 kilometers a day if you push yourself. Again, if you walk regularly. And when I mean regularly, I mean like all the time. Which that is an excellent thing because now that we've done that, I can take a look at the map, right? And I can kind of ask the question, far or how big is the region, and then adjust accordingly. Because it's entirely possible. Might not make sense. So in a region like this, wondering if maybe let's add apples to this, because apples do thrive in temperate regions. Granted, they like cooler temperate regions, but you can still have a growing season in temperate regions. There we go. That's what I need. Looking for a scale. just was adding that scale to the map so that tomorrow we have it available to us. Because, well, at midday on Thursdays, we do midday map making where we update the incarnate map in full with the work that we've done here. With, any kind of information we decided is relevant. Like deciding that, this is a farming village. Well, we may expand it to be a little bit across the river, add more influence territory around here, add a bridge, things like that, to try and expand it out, give it more life. We'll be covering more of that tomorrow and going into visual techniques. It can be quite time consuming, but we usually only spend about 2 hours doing that. So the Tradesway Village is probably primarily produces things like wheat and barley, flax, hay, and straw. Another fiber that grows well in hemp. Grow in a lot of environments. There's also of wild rice that grows in temperate environments. I want to ask some questions. So we've established that the primary form of organization here revolves around your job, what you do, even if it's just labor. So, and then we also established that there is in fact a thieves guild, or something like it, a smugglers guild of some sort, maybe. A guild. So my questions are: does this guild have a front? Have a legitimate front? Does this guild have a legitimate front? Does this guild have a particular code of behavior? Are they locally created or a branch larger group? What do they predominantly traffic in? Are they political in any way? These are all, kind of, they're a bit more in-depth lore questions. That said, I think it would be fun to answer a couple of them at least, because, well, thievery, as we have found in many, many times throughout history, is often a form of protest. Granted, a little bit of self-serving form of protest, but hey. So, is it political? What do they predominantly traffic in? Are they local, or is this some outside influence? And as a result of all of that, or, maybe resulting from, is there a code of behavior? I think it would be interesting if maybe there was a smuggling ring that was kind of living inside of the dock workers union. Guild. Rip. Or alternately, well, yeah, because dock workers themselves, I don't think. I mean, granted. Yeah, smuggling wouldn't be so bad actually. Now that I think about it, I was thinking about the different things and going, if you had a thieves guild, for example, that was a part of a dock workers guild or a fisherman's guild or something, it could reduce the trust of traders and people in that particular guild. But if they're just smuggling, it's less of an egregious thing. You know, it's more of a we're just bringing in some extra coin. It's no harm to anybody, really. Big quotes there. I think that could be. Um, I just reconnected chat. Rip. Okay. So then let's go ahead and roll with that. There are many secrets. Thieves Guild, for example. So smuggling, muggings. Does the guild have a legitimate front, or does dock work? They have a behavior. Local created as something of the LARP. Thank you very much, Bobicus, for the follow. I hope you have an excellent night. Thanks for all the suggestions. It was a delight, and I hope you return. Um, good one. Well, we've done a lot of work here. I feel as though there's something missing from this city. And that does happen sometimes, I'm feeling a little underwhelmed by it. We've done a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of pretty things here. These beautiful columnar basalt cliff faces with holes in them and caverns and caves and tunnels and docks down near the ocean. A thriving people who believe in the strength of their work and their unity, and are ultimately also kind of superstitious, leaving offerings everywhere. I think what we've done with every other place is we've given it kind of a big unifying theme of that. So I think we need to add a more magical concept. And when I say that, I mean something that really stands out, something that's stunning. So my question for anyone watching is the stunning thing the walls of the city? Hello again, your big dad. Left field, Possum City. It's Pawpaw. So, is it the walls? Is it maybe the temple, the keep area? What is it about this city that is special? Why do people go here? Seafood. So you're saying they have. So you're saying that they, unlike. Okay, that they have a rich, like kind of a food culture, like a rich cooking culture. High mineral content breaks into high mineral sand, feeds plankton and the like, so very abundant water. And passes the sniff test. Well, I mean, you're not far off on one concept. I mean, all elemental iron is created by microorganisms. Well, I mean, a lot of the most abundant life, well, it comes from coral. Even though I understand that coral is a organism, I often fail to recall that it has a non that it has a living component to it, because you think of coral, you think of these big stony things. So what do coral larvae feed on? Do 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 do. All right, not coral larvae. What do coral feed on? Oh, interesting. Okay. That blows my mind. So the algae grows on the coral itself, I'm guessing, in the open sun, and coral eat the algae. They're farmers. Hmm. Okay. Ah, okay. Apparently they don't really feed on algae. It is mutualism. Um, Corals do eat zooplankton, but corals get sugars from the algae, and the algae gets carbon dioxide and a protective home from the coral. The only requisite for that would be warm water. Warm enough, at least, not something that doesn't freeze frequently, therefore killing off the algae. So that's a curious thought. What if the water in this bay was quite warm? What if the water all along the coast was quite warm, resulting in the warmer temperate thing and also the increased rainfall? That could be fun, like the Gulf, but on England. I love science. I love looking up stupid shit like this. I mean, realistically, this is just Google, and me looking at the fucking excuse me, looking at links. Like this is from the this is from NOAA, so I mean it's National Marine Sanctuaries. Oh, there's that. Still really neato though, you know? That's cool. Okay, so coral are sensitive to sunlight. Hence why they build those rigid homes. They come out of their that's so I don't like that they call it that. Apparently though, apparently coral is not a shell. They call it a skeleton. So the coral polyps come out of their skeletons at night. My skeleton is hatching. Stretching their long, stinging tentacles to capture critters that are floating by. That's really neat. Creepy. I love it. Alright, so I think we've just established that there's a coral reef. And now everything has changed. Okay, there is a coral reef by the unusually warm waters of the bay city. Hell, maybe it's volcanic or something. I mean, coral reefs usually do form on volcanic islands that are submerged. And I think that does, in fact, add the little shiny element we were looking for. Something big that influences the way that they live. Really does change everything. So let's go back and visit something. Okay. Merchants and traders play an integral role in supporting the infrastructure of the city, as the city's inability to acquire resources inside of its own walls means that trade is of the utmost importance. There are merchants at every level of government. The city can still acquire resources, but they are all outside of the walls, not just outside of reach. Predominant resource being an abundance of food from bountiful reef south of the. The rigid requirements of the city's infrastructure has given way to a labor state. Representatives from each work bring the demands of the Guild Council, which is large enough that it can be tangled in bureaucratic red tape. Further, then, there is an additional governing body, a small council, that is separate from the guild body and handles expeditions. The second largest, or the second most influential guild in the city is the Fishers Guild, responsible for one of the most attractive factors. Third most influential in the city is the Masons Guild, responsible for maintaining large walls, stone structures proper, and docks. Okay. So the primary, most influential, of course, is the Merchants Guild. All right. Or the Traders Guild, I guess you could say. So then, religion and spirituality. The spiritual practice of the people in the city tend to range toward prayers and offerings, Dragon of Creation, for the blessing and city's protection. A lot of folklore blessings, talismans, and practice get tossed around for a variety of reasons. Superstition, protection, blessing. Many of the revolve around forests, caves, and the ancestor worship is uncommon but not unheard of, especially among the dock workers, sailors, who frequent the tunnels and Belief that the souls of seafarers who don't return home might need guidance, light decorated and charmed lanterns, quite commonly. The souls of those who die in the tunnels or in the cliffs become trapped in the tunnel. That souls of those who die in they leave offerings for the departed to guarantee safe passage through the tunnels. And we never really did answer how true is that, but I think that's a question for another time. We are running out of time. Then columnar basalt, or columns, either way of stone, constitute much of the cliffs. The areas where it is most stark are often used as altars for small offerings, which dot the bluffs and the seaside with a spackling of peculiarity. Flowers, scrimshaw. Flowers, scrimshaw. I just say carved bone. I don't want to appropriate that word. Carved fish, whalebone. Wood. Wreaths, maybe? Other rings of food. The walls of the city are partly composed of columns of seemingly natural unknown. A nearby village in the plains, Tradesway, has benefited tremendously from the advent of the Striders. What was once a stopover on the trade route is now the stop, and caravans take the goods up the cliffs to the city. Move that. The local ecology. Blackberries, blueberries, ferns, pines, birches, beech, apples. Husks. Clams. Fish. Crabs. Lobsters. Eels. Ale. Clams, mussels. Snails. Really. God, have any of you ever had conch? I've never had it, but I heard it's actually pretty tasty. Yeah, I guess they set up real thin, batter it, and fry it. Fritters. Yeah, I guess it's not called conch. They call it conch. Just, to me, sounds like onomatopoeia for hitting someone upside the head with an aluminum bat. Honk. Really? Very. Sea buckthorn? I don't know what that is. Sea buckthorn. Oh. Interesting. Sandthorn, sallothorn, seaberry. Nice. Mongolia, Russia, and Northern Europe. Exceptionally hardy, a plant able to withstand winter temperatures as low as, holy crap, negative 45 degrees? Wow. Nice. I mean, I guess it would have to be to survive the Russian steppes. The Russian and Mongolian steppes. That's cool. Alright. Why not? Buckthorn. I have to say, Broken Golem, that is a little mortifying. I'd personally draw the line at living things. Apparently something that was quite popular in Japan, and I don't know if it is. No, I have never had shucked oyster. A thing that is apparently quite popular Japan, or what it still is, was basically making a just drunk shrimp. You're talking about when you just literally dump a bunch of live shrimp into like kind of sauce type thing, and they go flying around the room. They jump, they flick out of the thing, and apparently like really experienced like very wealthy business people literally grab them out of the air with chopsticks and just like break them open and eat them. Like, oh god. Hey there, Josephine McAdams with the rating party of 82. Welcome to Worlds and Crafts. Hey everybody, we're about to end the stream here in about 5 minutes, but thank you so much. Sugar cube raid. Well, our talk about seafood just got turned into sugar cubes. You do? Do you always have the best time with raids? Classic. Yeah, I mean, we're ending here in a minute, but this is Worlds and Crafts, where we were just working on a setting, a city on the bluffs, that is like an odd combination between New Hampshire, Mongolia, and Russia, and then also like the Caribbean, because there's a lovely little thing down here, a coral reef. So that's what we've been doing, talking about plants and food. And wait, show off the piggies? I can't. They're downstairs. They're in the studio, if you're talking about the guinea pigs. Yeah, they're downstairs in the studio. Oh, man, I really want to. I can get the dogs up here, though. Yeah, alright, hang on. I'm gonna show off my dogs. I have to change my chroma cam. Go to stream mode. Oh no, it's broken. I have a better idea. Ah, brightness. Then there's our puppies. So now that there's a bunch of people here, be sure to go and follow Seditious Design if you don't already on Twitter. You absolutely must, because Seditious Design is my wife, and she's wonderful. She's an artist and an illustrator, and you're all gonna love her. You could also follow me. I have to boost her up because I love her work. She can always use a boost. But yeah. Yes, she posts a lot of animal pictures, very sex positive, also very queer, does a lot of really cool stuff, lots of cute things, cute fae images and animals, some neat stuff. But man, we gotta start wrapping up here. 7:58, post and at 8. So, I want to thank everyone who arrived, irrelevant to when and where. This has been Worlds and Crafts. It is a stream devoted to opening the curtain of creation on setting building, very beginner friendly. For those of us who do a lot of setting building and writing on our own, it's really just kind of a fun creative exercise where we work on settings and talk about the elements therein, high level lore, more detailed things. And we're eventually, it's going to take a while, but we're going to get to mechanics at some point, and game systems to integrate with. But yeah, today we worked on the city on the bluffs. We've got the Gator City in this world of lost magic, where the setting themes are life that is unaffected by civilization contains a magic that becomes lost through the effects of that. The inventive spark of humanity contains a different kind of magic, and that becomes lost through struggle and pain. Massive magical constructs stride the land between cities, over rivers, lakes, forests, and even through the ocean. Adventure is the call that everyone feels, for out in the world there are lost memories, miracles, and wisdom to be found. You can always rekindle your magic. You can always heal the wound. We don't have a name for this setting yet, but we'll come up with one eventually. So thank you again for joining us. Do go ahead and join our Discord if you haven't already. Follow us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on here. And, well, Puppy Lover, streams coming down the pipe. I don't have the schedule up. I wasn't planning on it, and it's 8 o'clock. I have to. So, check out our website as well. And be sure to check out our stream, or not stream, our Twitch channel, because we do have our schedule that I put up there every so often, and on Twitter. And feel free to follow me as well on Twitter. It's Athakaros. Well, thank you again for joining us, and I hope you all have an excellent night. Do remember, creating is better with friends. Night, y'all.